I mean, what kind of dark magic was he doing?
I'm Erica, also known as E.MoniQue, and this is my real life. Hang out with me as I side-eye the ups and stumble through the downs. Watch as I turn my tiny piece of the Arizona desert into a tropical oasis. Fight to beat infertility and figure out where I fit as an artist in this crazy creative world. All while awkwardly discovering my authentic self. I'll be talking out loud about the things I wish someone would have said a while ago and sorting through what I wish I didn't know. Who knows? Maybe you can relate, as I often ask myself.
Bruh. I have to say more about Risatisa. And they're calling him the Legion of Doom. I have to say more. So, I watched the whole thing. It was a lot. But, like, I didn't have a problem with watching it. I didn't have shit else to do. It was either I was gonna binge Risatisa or I was gonna binge something else. So, brainwaves are brainwaves, brain cells are brain cells. Like, whatever you're gonna do, you're just gonna do it anyways. So, this is, like, my very first thing, okay? With all the reactions and, like, the podcasts coming out with their thoughts and just everybody's talking about this shit, right? And so the first thing that people are saying is like, girl, I wasn't about to sit there and watch 7-8 hours worth of this shit. There's like 50 parts and blah 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 blah. Girl, it was no more than a season of Love is Blind, no more than a season of whatever the fuck, 90 Day Fiance, no more than a season of whatever bullshit else you're watching. So stop. Like, why are you doing that? It was no more than like what your normal TV watching is. So I don't know, there's just so much like negative attitude towards her and her story and all this shit. And I don't know. It's like, what's up with that? Like, what's your problem? If you don't want to watch something, just don't watch it. But the fact that everybody is talking about this, watching it, has something to say, has an opinion on it, and I think that is like, that's why there are certain people who are like, I'm not whatever, because it's a trend. And I totally get that. I hate trends too, but it's like, I don't sit there and talk shit about it and everybody else and make them feel away for like watching it and blah blah blah, or making the person that created the videos making them feel bad. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, I just had to say that, like, just because you don't want to watch, if you don't want to watch something, you don't want to watch it. Like, you don't have to shit on everybody else that wants to talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, don't talk about it. Don't do it. The second thing is like how people are painting her, Risatisa, in such a negative light, like really talking about how dumb she is, how slow she is, how she knew better, how she's like grown, and just making her, like, saying things about her that are just kind of fucked up in my opinion. It's like that, whether you want to admit it or not, that kind of shit could have happened to anybody. And like I said before, the fact that it literally happened to a community of people, not just like the women that he was in relationships with, but like his own family, they're gonna know how their family is. So I mean, they've known as long as he's been a kid, like he's always been that way. But like outside associates and people in the community and stuff, like It happened to everybody. He bamboozled everybody in his circle except for his family, because it's family, like, you know already. But it's like something like this could have easily, and maybe not even necessarily like this, but a bamboozling ass situation of any kind could have and probably has happened to everybody at least once in their life. So to like come at her and in a way that's like, oh, you should have known better, like I would have peeped that, you should have known better, I would have peeped that a long time ago, I wouldn't have let it get this far, I wouldn't have married him, I wouldn't have continued with the date, the first date, I wouldn't have let him pay for my tire, I wouldn't have. Well, guess what, bitch? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. People do shit. And like, if you really think about this, if you're approaching this from a point of just like, think about it. Think about all the things that she was saying. Obviously, she explained her situation in detail. That's why it took 50 parts in several hours, because she explained it in detail. And if you would have watched the entire part, you would have understood. And you know, still, like, even the ones that like finish the whole series, they still feel away, but at least they have a better, like their position is more solidified because they did watch the whole thing. If you didn't watch the whole thing, if you just watched somebody else summarize the videos, then shut up. I feel like you don't like that. And a lot of people are bringing up good points. They're saying like, just because, and she took ownership and accountability every step of the way of the story, and every step of the way, like probably like while it was live, while it was actually happening in her life. This is her life. She knows how fucked up and shady this is. She lived it. Nobody else did. Well, she lived it. Her portion of this experience. She went through it. So, but even still, like, that doesn't mean that just because you made decisions based off of information or lack of information, or like a weird spidey tingly feeling or what have you, doesn't mean that you deserve everything that's coming to you. Doesn't mean that you deserve what he did. Just because you found yourself in a situation that you have not been in before, you're experiencing something that you've not experienced before with another person that you've never, like, you don't know anything about this kind of mental case, doesn't mean that once you start getting clues, weird feelings, even downright like solidified proof that something or someone is like, shit has gone awry, that something's not right, doesn't mean that from that point on you deserve all of the bad and all the crooked and all the lies that come to you. And there are a lot of people who are coming with that energy towards her, and I think that's unfair. And there's so many other point of views that fucked up people are coming from as it pertains to like her looks, her weight, and all the things, even right down to like how he looks when he turned up, and how people are like, well, based off of how he looks, like, how could you believe anything that he said? Like, he doesn't look like X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. What the fuck do people look like that? Let's say that everything that he was saying was the truth. Like, what does that look like? Now, realistically, for something physical, like a job or a sport or something that's physical, like football, yeah, you might expect for that person to be like bigger, like just bigger. But at the same time, he was big. She said in the beginning he was big. He was a big guy. Just because they're a football player doesn't make them necessarily muscular. That means that they could be big and muscular. They could be big and not muscular. Like I don't know. I could see all of the places, maybe not all, but I could see a lot of the places where she got, I could understand how that could have happened. Like, it, for me, the whole story was not like dead giveaway, like, girl, this was like, obviously. For me, it wasn't like that. And maybe that says something about my personality, but I don't give a fuck. I feel like I'm pretty sharp. I don't trust anybody, especially now. Like, my trust is dwindling. Everybody has a motive. Everybody has intent. Everybody, like, the universe is I feel like it's not necessarily working against me, but sure as hell is not working in my favor at all times either. So for me to be this way and to be like, you know what, I could absolutely see how this happened, especially when you're like in a mindset and a heart set to where you want to love and you want to be loved, and you're a little bit more vulnerable. Like, you know this, you've crushed on people, you've loved people, you've been in those situations where you're a little bit more vulnerable, and a lot of shit can seep through, a lot of shit. And I know that we're not even hitting on the desperation part of it, but these are all human ass experiences. Desperation and love and just wanting to feel like you belong somewhere and with someone, and just longing for that normal like phase of life allows for shit to happen. And some people prey on that. Some people just wind up in circumstances together where they just fuck each other up. And I'm not saying either way, like, what his intent was, but what I am saying is that this person is not like, I think a huge portion of it was intentionally to hide things from her, because he flat out said, I knew that if I didn't marry you right away, that you wouldn't stay with me. That is awareness. And so he made many decisions around that to keep her in his world, in his life. But I think there is an even heavier percentage of that where he's mentally not right. Like, he needs help, because when I said like his reality, his life, his world, his reality is lies that he's come up with. I think that is stemming from some huge trauma, again, because he's been this way since a child, they said. He's a twin. He's been this way since a child, and basically adapted and made up this story and made up this life, taking from everybody else around him. And so, like, I really, really feel like people need to consider, like, that. Like, let's talk about that part. He has pulled real situations and stories and scenarios and things and bits of his life from his entire life and put together this whole narrative for himself, because for whatever reason, he's not been able to actually live a life of his own. The fuck? I feel like that, like, this whole thing could be a movie. And I know I said that, like, I don't think it should be like a movie or like an entertainment thing. But at the same time, I kind of feel like it needs to be written in a way that deep dives in every part of this. Like, every part of this. I think it would be amazing. Starting with, like, how the fuck did he get here to where he is living a lie? Like, I wish there was a way that I could better express myself in that regard. I'm not just saying, like, living a lie. I mean, you are literally living, breathing, eating, drinking this made up alternative reality of a life, and you are rolling with it like it is God's honest truth, and trying to convince everybody else that it is, and doing everything in your power like it is your job to live this life that you've pieced together. Like, you believe it your damn self, not just trying to make other people believe it, but you believe it your damn self. I think that's wild. That's such a psychological thriller if I've never heard one. That's why I'm so intrigued, is because I'm not just looking at this story for, like, surface level shit, like, oh, she's so trifling, she was so desperate, and blah 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 blah. Nah, that's not even like where we're at right now. That's not even like the meat and potatoes of the story. It's like, can we think about all the mental things that went into this, all the manipulation, all of the, like I said, artistry of coming up with proof as best as he could to back this story up. Like the kind of thought process you have to have to come up with every single detail of proving that this is real is like, that's what I'm saying. It's like genius, borderline psycho. You know what I'm talking about. He had many different types of bank statements. He had letters. He had, I don't fucking know how, and nobody's talking about this. Everybody else that was like in his world that like co-signed this or like were supporting characters to him. How did they know? Were they in on it too? Like, I want to know like the sides of like the real estate guy, his friend. Was that an actual person that was helping him or not? Like all the people that were on the phone, who the fuck were they? Because she said there were some times that she could hear another person on the other line, and sometimes maybe she couldn't. The people that were on the other line that were not actually the people that he was claiming them to be, who the fuck were they? And did they know like what was going on? Like, I want to talk to those people. There's so many levels and layers to this. I want more in the sense of like, before we get to talking shit about her and this situation, and again, like approaching it from an entertainment perspective, I want more answers about how deep this actually went, because I can tell that it was like deeply layered. This is how she got caught up, because, and then for her, like, how exhausting is it to live a life where she's always second guessing herself in everything, because it very well could be true, it very well could not be true. Like, I can see how that is real. I can see how it maybe not be real. Like, her entire life with this person was like, yes or no, crossroads, 50-50 chance. Like, it could be, it couldn't be. How fucked up is that? And the fact that this, at this point, is like her partner, her boyfriend, her husband, whatever, and not wanting to flat out call them a liar and not have trust for them the whole way through, when there's a chance that they could be telling the truth. That's a really hard place to live in. Like, that's a really hard stance to take, is like, oh, I don't believe a word that you say. Then it's like, what are you still doing here then? If you don't believe a word that he says, then you don't need to be. I mean, obviously she didn't need to be with him, but that was like besides the fact. Before she actually got proof, it was like, I feel so weird thinking that he's lying to me, but I don't want to accuse him of lying to me, because he could not be lying to me. And let's say that he wasn't lying to her about anything, and she's living this life of like doubt and mistrust and like, no, you're lying, everything that you tell me is a lie, everything that you're showing me is a lie, I don't believe it. Then like, how fucked up are you to like being, you're accusing your partner of whatever, and now you fucked up your relationship with somebody who just, girl, so much. So I just wanted to say, like, this story, there's not many things that get me going and get me to thinking and like have me going for a while. Like, I watched this, like, I finished this a long time ago. Like, I finished it when it was hot still. But there's very few things that get me going and keep me there for a while, and this is one of them. I am like, and I know now that she's doing interviews and more people have come out and they're telling their sides of the story or whatever, but I don't know, I haven't touched on any of those because I don't want the world and the media and like the internet to fuck it up like they're already doing. Like, I just don't, like, I don't want them to mess that up for me. So I'm not watching any of the interviews. I haven't gone back to, the socials to view other people's sides and what they think about it and this and that, because I don't know if I want that to taint my perspective or like taint what the story is doing for me right now. Maybe I'll go like later on and check it out, but like all these interviews and stuff where people are just coming to bash her and like wanting to make her look stupid, I'm not here for it. Like, not at all.
I am so tired. I haven't binged watched a show or videos or anything like that since Lost. When I tell you, like, that was a lot to binge, but I couldn't stop. I could not stop. That was a lot to binge. And the fact that the story is finally over, like finally over, but also like new good shit is like happening to and for her. I think that's amazing. I think that's so cool. She seems like a deserving person. I mean, I cannot even imagine the mental, I could not imagine the mental trauma and distress that she went through. Just fuck her up. He screwed with a community of people. A whole community. How do you mind fuck a whole community of person? You're just one person. And you totally jack with a whole 2-3 handfuls worth of people, bruh. The ex-wife, and we're not talking about LaTanya or LaToya or whoever. We didn't even really get the whole full scoop on like what the dealio was with that. But I mean, like the ex-wife's kids are jacked up because of him. His own family jacked up. The acquaintances, I won't even say friends because they were like, we ain't friends, but like the acquaintances, everybody, the play auntie, everybody affected. I mean, what kind of dark magic was he doing? Seriously. It was like not just like lying, it was con artist. It was it, you know how like geniuses could be like borderline so, or like vice versa, crazy people. Well, I need to cut that out, but like geniuses are borderline jacked up, right? It was like genius mixed with con artistry mixed with the lying. Like I don't even know. I guess, I mean, technically the term is pathological liar, but there's got to be something more intricate and sophisticated for the type of lying that this dude was doing, because what? It's like, how do you just live and exist in a reality that is a lie? Like you just move in lies. You do business in lies. You live a life of lies. Like everything is just lies. Like I've never heard of another person just existing in lies. What kind of like that's the only thing that I can think of this whole time watching and listening. And I've watched a few of his videos too. That's the only thing that I could like kind of like harp on really, is not necessarily the mental and emotional health of her, but nobody's talking about the mental condition that he is in. This is not just lying. This is like some scary, somebody needs to like run tests. Somebody needs to like get in there real quick and like help him. Like he needs help. Scary shit. Bruh. I don't know